Welcome everybody out there in Twitch land. Hey, this is Carlos A.S. Lysing. I'm the Dungeon Master for the World of Greyhawk campaign, The First Betrayal. It's the Castle Entertainment Patreon game. Tonight we've got two of my four players playing tonight. You guys, for those of you who have watched us before, welcome back. For those of you who are just tuning in for the first time, I'm going to introduce my players to you. Over on our left is David Aho, who's going to be playing Arion Marquesas. David, how you doing, buddy?
Doing better.
That's good to hear, man. We'll get to that in a second. But and over to our right over there is Matthew Lazinski. Matthew's going to be playing Brixton Beholder's Bane. For those of you who heard me speak about him this morning, that's our famous gnome illusionist thief. Brixton, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome, man. I'm going to cover a couple pieces of performa today before we begin starting. Most of you know that, or some of you, I would imagine, know that I was on this morning on Grog Talk on the podcast. That's Dan and James from Florida. Some of you know that I went to their convention last year. It was the first year of Grog Talk, or I should say GrogCon. They announced today the exact dates for GrogCon 2, and it's going to be a really great show. It's in October again this year, and I'm going to be there again, appearing, and I'm going to be writing the official game module again this year. So if any of you have suggestions about titles, or you have suggestions about a theme for it, there will be, like it was last year, a contest where you can go ahead, you can contact Grogcock and the people in charge of that. Last year, my good buddy Gaetano won the contest, and he got to name the module, which was the Porcelain Sword of Queen Ashala. I came up with the plot after he came up with the title, and it turned out really, really well. I was really pleased with it. So for those of you guys who are interested in going down to catch a new show down in Florida, I can't say enough good things about Dan and James. They really keep the old school lamps burning, and if you guys want to play some 1E Greyhawk, you know where to go. Guys like myself will be there. Vic Dorso from Minneapolis is going to be there, and he's another great old school DM that you guys can get a chance to enjoy the flavor that he brings to a game. Very technical DM, very detail-oriented guy, so I think you guys will really enjoy that. But before all that happens, I'm going to be going to GaryCon again this year, which is in March. In GaryCon, I've got 3 modules planned. That are Greyhawk and one top secret. For those of you who are on tabletop games, you can go ahead and look at my different games under Carlos Lysing. You'll see I'm running a game called To the Lost City of Elders, which is a takeoff on WG5, Morton Cannon's Fantastic Adventure. I just got the art back from my artist Daniel Govar, the cover art on it, and it's amazing. Go figure. He's a super talented guy. I'll also be finishing up the Gnome Saga, which is called Squaring the Circle, which is the end of the trilogy for the Magnificent Seven Gnomes. And finally, I'm going to be running the beginning of a new Marquesa arc, or Slave Lords arc, I should say, which is called From Dark Roses Black Thorns Grow. And for those of you who are know anything about the A2 module, the title in and of itself should tell you who the villain is. So I'll leave it at that. And the last thing I want to cover before we begin with my players here tonight is April is going to be a very special month for Castle Entertainment. Castle Entertainment, last year, as maybe some of you know, we ran a charity module called Lost Dog. Now, that was all for the benefit of the group called Red Rover. Their mission is to reunite missing pets with their owners. And in situations like, for example, the wildfires that happened in California, there were a lot of pets that were missing, ran away because they got scared or whatever. This organization reunites people with their missing pets. And being an animal lover like myself, I couldn't think of a worse thing than your beloved. I mean, they're members of your family, and it was so awful. I really believed in their mission, so we went ahead and did that. But there's a charity I've been supporting even longer than that, and that's the CCF, which is the Cheetah Conservation Fund. Most of you guys out there that know me at all know that I'm infatuated with cheetahs. It's my favorite animal in the world. But I've been supporting them, and through my different projects, I've been able to sponsor cheetahs for several years now. This year, we're going to do CCF as our module. And I'm going to, instead of doing a weekend of gaming, it's going to be an entire week of gaming. And it's going to be in concert with another module release. and you guys, I think, will really like what I have in mind because it coincides with another Castle Entertainment project that is really going to be a big maxi project, and people that take part in the game, the charity game, will have a chance to get their in and on the ground floor of that maxi project. But the main thing is that there's going to be probably about 21 to 24 spots open to play over the course of that week in my charity games. I'm going to have several charity gamers lined up. Dan and James from GrogCon are going to be there, and some of you that have watched my Castle Talk features before, you may have seen some of the players that I had, or the individuals I've had on that. And I think some of them may end up being charity players as well. So if you guys want to play with some gaming legends, maybe a good chance for you to see how some of the OGs did it back in the day, and continue to do it even now. So that's basically what I have right now, guys. Arion, before we go any further, David Aho, our buddy over here, is in the hospital right now. David is actually he's he's such a stalwart player that he's able to communicate from us from recuperating from surgery. So, David, I really appreciate you being here, and your commitment to the game is amazing. Jeremy and Patrick, who you see in the middle over there, they're on the road right now, and they're doing their thing. Maybe some of you guys know, maybe some of you guys don't, but their particular line of work calls them away quite a bit. So it's one of the main reasons why I don't mind when the party splits. A lot of DMs, it bugs them to have the party split up. It doesn't bother me a bit because I know that they're going to be gone a lot. So that's why you see that placeholder there a lot, as they're on the road doing their thing. So Rainmar and Agrias, we're thinking about you guys tonight when we're playing the game. Well, at least I am. And hopefully you guys get a chance to see this. And you like what's going on. And finally, Brixton over there. Before we begin any further, I don't want you to feel left out over there. I've announced something about just about everybody except for you. Oh, Brixton had his 5 minutes of fame this morning when I was on Grog Talk. We had a little bit of a chat. We were talking about gnomes a little bit, and I dropped his name, and a couple people in the chat I noticed they know your character. So you've obviously made a bit of an impact on some people out there with your play. So that's really cool.
Little impressionable, I guess.
No, I wouldn't say little impressionable. I would say a lot. You've got a lot of flavor with Brixton. You bring a lot of personality to the game. It bespeaks your good play. So, are you guys ready to go? I mean, are you excited?
Yep. May I say one thing too?
Of course you can. Go ahead.
Well, a couple things. Talking about GaryCon.
Sure.
I'll be running 4 games there. Hopefully when I get there. I've got 2 first through 3rd level entry level campaign for my Greyhawk setting, and I've got 2 of them set up for a high level Greyhawk setting. They're both related. Just one's extremely high level, one's entry level. Mm-hmm. So the low level's Kendall's Keep, and the high level one's called Unexpected Alliances. So just keep that in mind there throughout the weekend, whatever, for GaryCon. Hopefully I will make it there. That's one reason why I'm here in the hospital, and I want to point this out in parallel to what some of you have seen over some of the different Facebook feeds and everything of Jim Ward. Get yourself checked for diabetes. I found out the hard way, and I am one pinky toe and part of my foot less.
Yeah.
And it went like 3 days. So I'm recuperating right now, trying to get everything cleaned up and cleared up and back walking again decently.
It's a really scary thing.
Make sure you pay attention.
You know, it's a really scary thing that you've had to go through, and I'm relieved more than anything to know that you're healthy, you're still with us, right, and everything's good with you. And I want to tell everybody out there in Twitch, you guys that follow us, I really appreciate your patronage. I love the fact that you guys support Castle Entertainment, but don't sleep on what David is doing right over here. He's been able to share with us on Facebook. We have a private group over here where we talk first Betrayal, and he's shared with me personally a lot of his ideas and his things that have gone on with his dungeon, and it sounds like an absolute blast. I mean, it sounds like just a lot of fun. He's got some characters in there that are super duper memorable, and once again, he's an old school DM, just like myself, but even more, I would say whereas I'm more of a hybrid of later styles as well. David is very ensconced in the old school, and you guys enjoy that kind of thing. You guys will really like what he's bringing to the table. I can guarantee you. So don't be shy to sign up for his games. And David, now you got to make it to GaryCon because I just pimped out your product.
Oh yeah, it's like I'm going to try to, if I can drive down there, I am going to be down there. So I said I'm out of here hopefully on the February 20th, and I've got a month to get everything all put together and get down there. So my goal so far is be on at least a walking cast or a walking booth by the time I get out of here.
Right.
So I'm putting my work ethic involved in healing.
Well, if that's the case, then I know that you're gonna be recuperated very soon because very few people I know are as hard workers as you are. So, well, boys, with that being said, are you guys ready to roll tonight?
Oh yeah,
Literally and
Oh,
figuratively?
I just
Sure.
want to get this over with.
I want to get this over with. That's the way you approach a game. Let me tell you what.
I'm terrified.
Oh, you shouldn't be terrified. You shouldn't be terrified. Everything's going to go great.
The orcs are going to
I'm
be
just
more
happy I'm
scared.
alive if I could remember exactly what happened last time.
Well, it's funny you guys should mention that. The last time I had you guys live, you guys were in the middle of the search still for a city in which
Right.
you've understood, you've heard there's lore that there's a city nearby in which a preponderance of magical items that are water themed could be found. All right, this because the city apparently on the coast of Radek was so their lifestyles were so involved in water that they forged plenty of magical items that dealt with water. Well, you managed to find an underground way into this large complex that you think has to be this town. You found different kinds of clues so far that imply that it was dwarven in nature, and it may or may not have had trade with a human city, and it may have been hidden to keep out of the eye of the Great Kingdom at one point in time. Now, while you're down there, you've also found the necromancer Yide. Yide is a female necromancer who has a love-hate relationship at this point with Brixton, and mostly on the hate side.
That's not true.
She has been alternatively helpful and not helpful. But you, yeah, you guys have been going towards what you think is the forge in this area. Now, that led you through a residential area of this dwarvish city, but then it led you down a very long, sloping corridor in which you had a massive conflict with what seemed to be some kind of weird, strange creatures of a type you'd never seen before. A lot of arrows were fired, as you remember. Brixton, you and Sonny were at the front of the group scouting ahead, and you managed to find a couple doors. You managed to find kind of a large area in which it looked like a centralized fountain area where a bunch of these creatures might have once collected. But it was a four-way area at that point in time. One way ahead, one way to the left or the right. Now, if you remember correctly, to the right side, it looked like there was evidence that these creatures, whatever they were, might have gone down or come from that way. It seems like things like to drink at this fountain. It's a source of fresh water. And these creatures, if you remember right, are tentacled and have multiple kind of suction cups or something like that for feet. So that's one thing that you've noticed. Straight ahead, you're not really sure what to expect, but it seems like by your sense of smell and what you've read so far, that the forge area may well be to the left. You're in the large circular room. It's kind of domed at the ceiling, if you remember correctly. Now, with that being said, tonight, we're going to go ahead. Brixton, you're going to be the caller again tonight. By the way, I'd like to say hello to everybody who's out there watching. I just noticed we've got Grendel Wolfslayer, who is my good friend Gaetano. Such optimism, Matt, he says about your thoughts. And I've got Snafu, who out there, who is my good friend David up there from Canada also. Hello, good evening. Thank you for watching. That's awesome. And let's go ahead and we'll begin right now, guys. Where would you like to go?
Before we go on, I thought we had backtracked.
You had backtracked,
Mm.
but some of you, if you remember right, you were backtracking with a scouting party, and then you'd come back.
Well, I thought we backtracked and then went back to that room where we found Ide.
If you'd like to, you can go
And
ahead and
what-
do that. You want to go ahead and backtrack all the way there?
No, I thought we had already gone down there, and that's when we got ambushed by.
You did go down there and
Oh.
get ambushed, but then you came back, was my understanding. Would you like to
Okay.
remain there at that point in time after the ambush?
I have no idea. All I know is we had like Arion's compatriot.
Okay,
Um,
well that's
um,
fine with me. If you guys, Brixton, would you
I-
like to
I have
remain in the
no
ambush
idea
room then?
Um,
I have no idea what we were doing.
Okay.
So,
yeah, well, I think we're leaving. I
Okay.
think the goal is to try to be leaving because
Okay.
Merrick ran out.
Yes, Merrick ran out.
okay.
So I thought we were trying to follow his footsteps and leave.
Okay. Well, in that case, that's what you'll do.
Okay. Yeah.
But-
Okay.
What
But
you
I'm
see,
also okay.
what you see at this point, you're in the ambush room where you found Ide. This is the room with the two doors in it, if you remember correctly. Her skeleton bones are all over the floor. There's a
Right.
tunnel that leads away from this area back to the main tunnel that you came through. This is the tunnel that had the glass ceiling in it, if you remember correctly.
Yep.
Okay, Merrick is down there right now, and somewhere in the distance, he has not come back yet from his scouting. Would you like to follow him?
Well, don't want to split the party up, and we got to go and protect them. If anything, I would say.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, because that'll lead us back to the pool anyway, right?
it would technically.
Okay.
Okay, so you go ahead. You begin after him. What's the marching order going to be at this point?
We have Einar, Arion, me, Sunny, Yade, and how many skeletons does Yade have?
None. Remember, she actually collapsed them all. She said that if you guys found any bodies that she could raise, to go ahead and save them for her.
I
But
thought she.
you notice that as you guys have killed things, she hasn't seemed too interested in raising them.
Got it. And then we have the other Tenebrous
The elf.
hand lady, the elf.
Right.
Okay.
So you've got your party with you. Sunny's right now there next to you, Brixton. Sunny looks over at you and she says, "Are we going to go ahead and scout again?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's not let fear stop me from going and doing stuff, right?
Why are you afraid? You're the great Brixton Beholdersbane. You can do anything. She smiles. She goes, "Remember when you told our aunt that you could go? You were so full of confidence, and I don't see why not now. Look, remember
Right.
what we just lived through the other day?
Yeah. Yeah.
If we can live through that, we can live through anything, right?"
Oh boy.
100%. You're right. You're right.
Okay.
Can I ask Yade why she didn't raise any of the orcs?
No, I didn't. Do you want me to?
I just thought, I mean, extra numbers wouldn't be an issue.
Are you going to ask her?
Yeah.
How are you going to do it?
I just asked if there's a reason why she didn't raise any of the dead orcs.
She looks over at you, and she says, "Is there a reason why you didn't?"
Well, I can't.
She smiles. "Well, since you've just admitted to me that you are hardly a student of necromancy, allow me to please educate you for a moment. These bones here," she kind of points at them all. Einar just rolls his eyes. "These bones here, as you can see right over here, they're hardly suitable for a raise spell of any kind, an animate spell. Look right over here." She kind of points at ligament and things like that. And Ariane, I'd like you to make me a 20-sider as you do that. And Brixton, you as well.
20-sider?
Yeah, please, a 20-sider for both of you.
11.
11. And Ariane?
Just pulling up on my
Die roller?
Dealer. Also 11, yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any dice with me.
Brixton, as she's pointing all this out, you're really kind of not following what she's saying so much. But Arion, you're noticing something odd about her. When she talks,
Her.
when she talks,
Yes.
and she moves her hands a lot, it seems like she's trying to take up space in a conversation while she's trying to think of something.
And what do you mean? Like,
You don't
does
think
she
she's
use
telling
her-
the truth.
Okay.
Yeah, you get that impression that just kind of reading her body, because as a ranger, you kind of, you're a student of the way that people move and the way that people act, their body posture and things like that. She just
Okay,
doesn't
yeah.
seem like she's maybe telling the truth about anything.
Well, I can sort of see that. I mean, we just got to know her briefly, so.
Right, right. And she says, and she finishes up the story, and she says, and look at this. She pulls out one of the arrows out of one of them's eye socket, and she says, look at the skull right over here. It's fractured right across the front. She says, this part of this is what's going to house the soul. She goes, I can't contain it inside of this. She kind of tosses the skull away.
I just sort of roll my eyes and was like, take it in stride.
Okay,
Meanwhile, I believe her 100%.
right.
Yeah, I'm quite content with her answer. I said, okay. I don't know anything about raising the dead.
Right, right. So, she says, these are totally unsuitable.
Which ones would be suitable?
Well, I would say something like what I had before, probably. I don't know, some dwarven bodies, something maybe a little bit older, intact. Those ones seem to have died of disease, you see. The bodies were more intact. Just kind of, a little bit more together.
I understand.
Mhm.
Okay.
She nods. She says, kind of points her staff at you a little bit as she says that. You were talking about training before, weren't you? Learning something?
I'm thinking about a lot of options.
I see. Never mind then.
All right.
I believe that you and your little daughter there were going to go ahead and scout.
She's
I'm
my
not his
apprentice.
daughter. I'm his apprentice. Oh, I'm sorry.
I
Now
never
you could-
say fiance.
Now you can tell that she's definitely lying about being sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we go ahead. Well, can I ask the group, can we take kind of a group vote?
Einar says, I have a vote. Our friend is missing. We need to find him. Everything else is secondary. I wouldn't leave any of
Right.
you behind, and I can't believe we're sitting here wasting all this time talking about the dead when we should be recovering him. Too many of us have fallen already.
Okay, let's go find Merrick.
He nods. Well, I suppose your vote counts for 10 then, doesn't it?
You have
Excuse
a
me?
better point.
Well, I just suppose, no one asked me yet, and this was a vote last I checked.
Yeah, but he convinced me, so we're gonna go find Merrick.
Very well, then.
I mean, if you want to go look for other dwarven
No,
bones
that's fine.
down the
That's
hallway.
fine. Well, I'll
Okay.
follow you. I'll follow
All right.
you.
I know you
Hey.
will.
Just
What?
I'll stand on record as saying I don't know that this is necessarily a good idea.
Is anything?
She kind of, Einar looks at you, kind of draws near. He goes, "Let me talk to my friend for a moment. My friends." He points at Arion, kind of pulls you and Brixton away. He looks at the two of you and says, "You," points at Arion, "are only half a man. You are not a man at all." He points at you. "So you'll forgive me for what I'm about to say, but have you no spine, man? Are you going to let her speak to you like this In perpetuity. I have a mind to cleave her head from her shoulders.
Well, you still may yet.
He kind of frowns a little bit. He says, I don't trust her. First of all, she cavorts with the dead. We should know right away that this is not a goodly thing. Second of all, the way that she speaks to you is unconscionable to me. Thirdly, he says, she knows that I lost my sister. She knows that Merrick lost his. Not once has she mentioned anything about speaking to either of them. Do you not find that curious?
Not really.
Why not?
I mean, I didn't think about it, but you don't think she can do what she says she can do?
I don't think that she has the capabilities that she says she does. No. I think that she had those skeletons. She may have been fighting them before we walked in.
Maybe. But what I also look at as far as what America's Einar is talking about, that speak with the dead, I always think that you have to have some kind of a connection there at the time. You know, whether you got the remains or something like that.
Well,
That's just look at it.
perhaps, he says, perhaps in your faith. He says, in mine, he goes, all I have to have is the skull to speak to the dead. He says, but, he shrugs his shoulders, I'll allow that. But one way or another, she's trying to take control of this group from inside. She's pitting us against one another. While meanwhile, she inserts her little advice. I don't like it. Not a bit.
Okay. Your concern is noted.
Well, he says, he looks over at you, Brixton. He says, I'll say this then. He says, from this point forward, I'll be standing in between her and either of you. Because I don't trust her with your backs to her. Let that be said.
I appreciate that.
And he turns around and walks away. Kind of kicks a stone on the ground a little bit.
All right.
I thought we were wasting time not getting your friend back.
Let's go.
Brixton, who's going to go down in the scouting group, and in what party marching order are you going to be in?
Can I take Sunny and the elf?
Of course you can.
Because I feel like they have a little bit of stealth in their.
You guys begin to go down the corridor quietly, very quietly. As gnomes, you being ahead of the group, about maybe 30 feet or so, you and Sonny pretty much feel like you can be pretty quiet, pretty stealthy, even amongst demi-humans. Arion, how far back are you going to be from the group? Or are you going to stay in the room while they scout?
I thought we were all going down the corridor.
You can, if you want to. Go ahead and tell me where you're going to be.
I thought that's what we were doing. We were getting a marching order.
Okay, that's good. Tell me what you want to do.
Well, I think what we had before is that way I was about toward the back. That way I could shoot over.
Yep. The good news is everybody in your front ranks is short.
Right, and then we can watch the back as well.
All right, so Arion is going to be behind that set of group. Right behind him is going to be Einar, because as he said, he's not leaving your back exposed between him and he stays in the back.
I mean, she also fled from the ambush fight, didn't she?
She was involved in the ambush fight, but she, as you remember, she kind of just didn't really do anything. She kind of held back the entire time and watched you.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty much what she's done the entire time so far you've seen her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crossing your mind a lot. Now that he's putting this in your mind, you're starting to think about a lot of things about her that don't seem to add up necessarily. So, you begin to go down the hallway, Brixton. Are you relying strictly on infravision, or are you going to have any kind of light source?
Probably just infravision.
Okay.
Because any kind of light source would mess with that, right?
That's correct.
Now we could
Question though.
the tentacly creatures were cold though, right?
Yes, they were.
If I remember correctly. So I guess when we get a little closer to the tunnels, I guess I'll get maybe Sunny to hold a little bit of light.
Okay. So you're going down
Okay.
the way, and this would be a good time for me at this point in time to tell you we've got a couple people over here that are we've got people mentioning that the class is in session for Raising the Dead 101. Try to be gentle when killing those bad creatures to you. Some of the comments in our chat. Brixton, you're going down the hallway.
Which way? Well, which hallway we're going down again?
You're going down.
We're going back
Brixton?
down the glass covered one, or are we going ahead toward the where those creatures were?
Brixton, which are you
Yeah.
going down?
We're heading
Which way?
out
Which way
where
Merrick went?
I'm under the impression Merrick was running out, and so we're heading back.
That is correct.
Okay.
So you begin backwards.
Wouldn't light be filtering in through the?
It is going to be, but you're still in an area where the hallway is sort of dark.
Okay.
This is what you see. Brixton, you're going down the hallway, creeping down. It's very quiet. As you get down, you can start to hear the sound of water rushing a little bit. Light starts to filter through the glass. You can kind of see it. As you're going down the hallway area on behind, you see Brixton and Sunny appear out of the shadows as the light filters over them. Outside right now, it must be getting very dark because the light that's coming through is kind of twilight shadowy a little bit. But that's okay with you because it kind of renders you a little bit harder to see in the darkness. Continue to creep down the hallway. Arion, you're in the back. I need you to roll me a percentage dice, please.
Okay, hold on. Nothing like trying to do this when you're not prepared with dice.
That's okay. We know
63.
you're partially you're doing your best right now.
63.
Okay, Arion, they're kind of trampling a lot of footprints right here, and there's been footprints from you guys coming and going, so it's kind of difficult to see exactly what the deal is here. You think you've got Merrick's prints. It's hard to tell. Seeing the stride that he was at, you're guessing he was walking quickly but not running.
Okay.
Okay.
Basically just quick stepping it.
Yeah, it looks like it. So you continue down the way. Brixton is very, very quiet at this point in time until you get probably about maybe another 30 feet ahead outside of the hallway. And you hear footsteps. They sound multiple footsteps.
Ahead of us?
Yeah, ahead of you.
Going away or coming towards?
Hard to tell. Maybe parallel. Could be in the big swirler rooms.
There's a possibility that there's secret tunnels running parallel?
There's very much a possibility of that. Sonny just kind of looks up at you because you stopped.
Did she say anything, or she just look at me?
She's just looking at you like, what are we doing?
Oh, can I check what side of the wall do I think they're coming from?
It sounds to you like they're coming from the left.
I'll check. Can I check the left wall to see if there's
secret doors?
Yeah.
Of course you can. Go ahead and roll me a 6-sider. Arion, you're walking towards Brixton's area. He kind of holds up, and you see him checking the wall. It looks like so your group is kind of holding back just to keep that distance constant. Brixton, what'd you roll? 5. It doesn't seem like you could. There's anything there. Wall feels pretty solid.
What's the elf's name again?
The elf's name?
Yeah.
if you remember correctly, the elf looked at you and hold on for a second. We're talking about the elf that you guys have been with, right?
Yeah, from the Tenebrous Hand.
Right, exactly. Yeah, the elf never gave you her name.
Oh, that's probably why I don't know it.
No.
I look at her and I say, "What's your name again?"
She looks over at you, kind of chuckles a couple times. She goes, "It's not important."
Okay, sorry, it's been a little chaotic.
It's all right.
I, I think there might be a tunnel next to us with people in it, or something in it.
She kind of puts her hand on it, feels for it a couple times. I don't sense anything. No, I don't sense anything at all.
Okay, while we keep moving forward,
Kind of
I
takes her
wanna.
sword, taps a little bit on the stone. Does sound solid.
Okay, I want to keep checking the wall as we continue forward.
As you
Is there
continue,
could be above
While
us?
he's doing that, I want to look behind us. Do I see anything behind? Hear anything from behind?
Ariane, make me a 8-sider, please.
That I do have.
Nice. Of all the dice for you to have, an 8.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Three-sider, and it's number 3, and it's one of the old homes that you.
Oh, nice. You can't beat that. Okay, Ariane, you look behind you a couple times. Any day is just kind of looking back at you like, what are you looking at? But behind her, the first time you looked, you could have sworn you thought you saw motion, and then it was gone.
What type? High, low, big.
Low, very small. Like probably about the size of a house cat.
I looked and make sure Tobias is with us.
Tobias is with you still. He's still at the back. He's behind Ide, kind of growling a little bit.
A growling as in disturbed growling?
No,
Just
growling
normal?
as in typical Tobias behavior that he's hungry,
Okay.
which is always.
Well, yeah.
And he just ate orc, too.
A lot of work.
Yeah, he just ate a lot of orc, too. So, okay, meanwhile, Brixton, you're up ahead at the front of the party. You're continually checking the wall. As you continue to check the wall, the footsteps seem to sound like they're receding. And finally, you break into that large circular room that you were in before that went to the direction you went in, and it went in now from your perspective to the left and to the right. If you remember correctly, there were lettering written across the top of the arches. This way said the forge, and the other way said to the city. Their footsteps are receding towards the city.
Basically, it sounds like they would have been running down that hallway, I'm guessing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Ariane, the footsteps for Merrick disappear suddenly and abruptly.
What do I? Before everybody starts trampling, I want to take a look and see what the if there whatever is around there. I'm guessing they may have abducted him, and that was what they were doing, running away with him.
Yeah, that seems to be the case because it looks like footsteps here. All of a sudden, his footsteps are gone. Looks like several
And the
sets of
other ones
footsteps, maybe 4 or 5.
And they're milling around his.
Mm-hmm.
I relay that to everybody.
Yes, Brixton. It seems weird to you that he would have just not been. You wouldn't have heard anything. He's a pretty good fighter, and he's pretty skilled. And he's also smart enough to yell.
Yeah.
It seems weird that he wouldn't have said anything.
Unless he was ambushed from behind.
Yeah, it could have been.
And then I ask Arion, well, can we get the group up together?
Mm-hmm.
And then I ask Arion if the footsteps continue to the city.
That's Isn't that what I figured out?
Yep, you did figure
Yeah,
that
okay.
out, and that is exactly what they do.
Cool. And then we don't have light right now, do we? Or does Yade and Einar have light?
Just Ide and Einar have light.
Okay. What do we see when this room's lit up?
When the room is lit up, you see above you the ceiling is vaulted very high, about maybe 15 feet. For some of you, that isn't very high, but for dwarves and for gnomes, it's quite high. It's kind of domed at the top. It's the stonework is clearly dwarven. That's about it.
All right. And this isn't the room with the pool in it?
No, it is not. You went the opposite way, remember?
Right. Got you. Okay. I guess we'll follow towards the city. Same kind of marching order.
Ariane,
Unless
Tobias behind you is growling now. Like
a
something's
different
wrong.
growl.
Yeah, like something's wrong.
Basically, thinking maybe that whatever was back there that I caught a glimpse of is following.
No, he's actually looking forward towards the city.
Well, I can sort of understand that. That's the orcs or whatever else.
I need
I'm
both
sure
of you
he
two
would.
to make me a 20-sider as we speak.
7.
15.
Okay.
I'm gonna grab I'll take some of my rope, and I want to make a snare across that passageway
Okay.
about the height that I saw that movement.
Brixton, you turn around, you kind of watch what Ariane's doing. Ariane, you look back to do that. And Day is standing there in the doorway. She's just kind of standing there in the doorway where the you guys had come out into the main room. She's entirely motionless, just standing there like a statue. And when you actually get a little bit closer, her mouth is like poised to say something. And she's just standing there like a statue. Tobias Ariane runs over to your feet and he's looking around. He's just growling.
I tell everybody where something's up.
Yeah, you think? Einar says he pulls out his sword. He's looking around. The elf is just very quietly surveying.
Okay. I try to see if I can get any kind of reaction out of the day.
You kind of move Day, and when you push her shoulder, it's almost like she's about ready to fall over. It's like she's literally turned almost into stone, it seems like. Obviously, she's fleshy, but she is... Huh?
As I do that, does my finger like go into,
Oh, it goes into flesh. Yeah, it's flesh. Are you going to touch her withered arm?
Okay.
Are you going to touch her withered arm?
I was going to do the chest area because I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you push on her chest. It sinks in. It's flesh.
She's been paralyzed, more or less.
The elf has pulled out a piece of cloth and put it over her eyes and tied it in the back, and she's just kind of standing around, looking around the room.
I recognize that.
Mm-hmm. She's got her sword out, and she suddenly goes, "There!" and she points at the wall. As soon as she points at the wall, I need all of you to roll a 6-sider. 2. Ariane.
6.
Okay, Ariane will go first. This is what you see when she does that. She points at the wall. Ariane, for a split second, something like an outline is there. It's the size of a gnome. All right? And you see it running, cut across the front of the doorway, around the circular room. It's starting to go up the wall, okay, and towards the ceiling. Meanwhile, at the same time, something shadowy filters off to the left. It's something close to the ground, about the size, like I said, of a house cat. What will you do?
Which one I saw first? Which was the gnome shape?
The gnome
Size
shape
or-
is the one you
okay.
saw first because it's bigger.
Okay. It's a threat. I'm shooting an arrow at it.
Okay, 1 or 2, because you have 2 attacks with your bow.
If I can notice the other one, I'm gonna do 2, 1 on each.
Okay, make me 2 20s.
Okay, first one is a 19.
Mm-hmm.
Second one's a 12.
Brixton, this is what you see. Arion takes his bow, he pulls it back, aims up at the ceiling. You hear this. You hear that twinge of the bow, just the string snap over. Something screams in pain up at the ceiling, and before the shot's even gone, it doesn't even wait for a second. He's turned on the other side, has the bow back. He shoots something at the wall. The arrow breaks against the stone. Something yelled up at the top of the ceiling, though. Your turn, Brixton. What will you do?
Yelled in what kind of?
Tone was masculine, and tone was kind of it sounded like a demi-human, maybe a gnome.
All right. Well, I'm gonna I'm gonna yell out in Dwarvish just in case Merrick got strung up there.
Okay.
As I ready my bow. And I didn't see the things running around.
No.
No.
Well, you saw. Well, when he pointed it out, you saw the motion. It's going to be hard for you to follow. You're almost going to be shooting blind, but you can follow where his arrow is stuck.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna stay in Dwarvish. Who's up there?
Voice comes down from the ceiling above you. It comes down and it kind of rains down, filters like, sounds like echoey almost, like it's ghost-like. It says, "It's not important who I am. What's important is that I have you surrounded." He says, "If you don't want to end up like your friends, you're going to give me the thief now."
What thief?
Her. Einar just kind of looks at you and just kind of smirks.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Ide is frozen. Still.
What'd she steal?
Tobias Arion, you notice, has turned around, and he's growling at this area behind where Ide is.
I'm watching very closely.
Do you see the staff that she carries? It belongs to an associate of mine.
What associate? As I'm staring.
Kind of a pause for a moment. Going to take a risk. You think you can talk for a moment without shooting arrows?
Depends on what you say.
Fair enough. From the ceiling, standing upside down, hanging from the ceiling, looking down at you, is a gnome. He's got gray hair pulled back in long pleats, kind of broad sideburns. His skin is almost gray. He looks at you with these bright blue eyes that almost like they're almost clear. They're so white. He's wearing leather armor. In his hand, he's got a hand crossbow. And he looks down at you. Starts to walk down the side of the wall.
I want his boots.
Kind of walks over walks. He says, looks at your eyes, looks at his feet. He goes, "It's not my boots, my friend." He smiles and walks over to you. Kind of puts his hand. He goes, gives a short salute.
I do the same. I pull out my hand crossbow. I was like, I got one of those too.
He says, "We're going to talk about that, you and me. But first, I want to tell you about that one," he says. "But I suppose some introductions are in order." Because my name is Captain Wollygug.
Sorry, what?
My name is Captain Wollygug. But I suppose if you want to, he goes, you could just call me Petra. He says, I'm the warden of this area. He says, "This one over here," he says, "that you're cavorting with. She's a thief. She stole that staff that you're looking at from my associate. This is a very dangerous place. What are you doing down here anyway?
Looking.
Looking for what? More things to steal?"
No.
She looks over at your hand crossbow. He goes, "Oh, really?" He says, "I don't know too many surface dwellers that have something like that. Care to explain?"
It was a gift.
"Oh, I see. A gift. Isn't that convenient?" Looks
Oh,
over at you, Arion. Kind of looks over at the arrow that stuck out of his arm. Shows her, "You're a pretty good shot." He looks up at you in the face for a moment. He pauses. He goes, "Oh, never mind. I thought you were one of them."
uh,
One of who?
"The Dark Elves, of course."
No.
"No, I can see
A
that."
lot of people do.
Says, "I the skin tone fooled me for a moment."
I'm surprised you can see through my mask.
"I can see through all sorts of masks," he says.
Okay.
He says, "It's what I do."
You
He pulls out his wand, flips it over a couple times, puts it back. "It's what I do."
you mind tell me tell your friend that is scurrying around down here to
Oh. He kind of laughs. Let me go. "Silhouette, come here." You see this cat walk. Oh, it's a shadow. Walks along the wall. It kind of slithers across the ground, up his leg, around his arm, and sits on his shoulder and stares down at Tobias. Tobias growls at it. The shadow cat just kind of leans forward like it's going to hiss, but no sound comes out. He goes, "It's my familiar."
Okay, that's all I need to know. I sort of I'll try to calm Tobias and says just leave it alone.
"It's all right." He goes, "He won't be able to hurt her." Kind of
Now,
just pets the shadow.
Captain Petra,
Mhm.
did you happen to see a dwarf pass through here?
"I did. He's in my custody right now. He's a trespasser, just like you are." He goes, "And I suppose right now you're all in my custody, unless you can tell me what you're doing cavorting with this thief."
Well, we just met her.
"Oh, I see. What's her name?"
She said Yade.
Did she? The gnome
Yade.
walks up to her, kind of
Yes,
looks
you
right
did.
up her leg, looks up into her eye. She's still frozen solid. Goes, "So you're a liar and a thief, aren't you? That's interesting." Looks
A
over at
liar.
you. "What's that?"
What is her name then if you said she's lying.
"This," he points over at her and pushes her leg. She falls backwards like a tree and just hits the ground. Einar kind of winces. It looks like it was painful. He goes, "This is Erebeth," he goes. "Or at least that's what we know her as. She's a thief and an assassin in the employ of the Great Kingdom."
Okay.
Looks over at you. "That staff that you're holding there, that you're looking at there, is a dangerous relic that we found here. Do you know where you are? Do you know what you're looking at?"
Well, how about you tell us?
I'm
Look,
looking at a Snurf Nebulae, aren't I?
yes, you are. It took you a little while to actually. Sonny has no idea what he is,
Yeah.
but it took you a little while to find your kin. She looks over at the captain looks over at you and says, "The way that we're looking here is from Mirathrasen. It's a dwarvish city, but used to trade for a long time with the humans. We were friends of theirs, allies. But we were worried when they weren't communicating with us. They used to buy ingots of precious metals from us, things that only the deep gnomes know where they lie, buried underneath the world's skin." Kind of nods over at you, Brixton, like you'll know what he's talking about. He says, "Well, Mirathrasen suffered a very ugly fate. I don't know if it has to do with your human friends. No offense," he looks over at Einar. "None taken. But Every single soul in Mirathrason was wiped out to a one. I'm sure when you were down there you saw bodies,
Yeah.
He nods. Disease, plague, but not natural. Because as you know, most dwarves are resistant to disease. Good constitutions, But because this was given to them as a gift by the surface dwellers. So you might, looks over at you both, you might understand my reticence to let you go any farther.
Yeah.
I need to know what you're doing here and if you're in league with Yday. One of you will have to submit to a test. Which one of you will it be? Einar looks over at you, Brixton. He goes, I fear no one.
Well, I like tests. What kind of test?
It's a simple one. Will you submit to it?
Does anybody else? Einar, do you want to do it? I'll do it.
You're the leader right now, Brixton.
All right. I'll do the test.
Put this on. He reaches into his pocket and pulls out a ring and flips it to you. Lands on right on the ground in front of you. It's a gold ring with the face of a gnome on it who's laughing.
Do I know anything about it? Can I make?
Not really.
Uh-huh.
Sunny looks at it, looks up at you. She goes, I'll do it if you don't want to.
On top of my head.
Huh?
Like this. I put it on top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like this?
Very funny, cousin. Put it on.
And I put it on.
Okay, you put it on your finger. Instantly, you feel this wave of something. Hard to describe what it is come over you. It's a feeling. There is absolutely no way you can lie right now. None.
Got it. That's what I thought it was, yeah.
Says, tell me what you know about this woman.
That she's a necromancer.
Interesting. When did you meet her?
2 days ago, 3 days ago.
And you aren't in league with her besides that? You had nothing to do with the theft of the staff?
No, we just met her while we were looking through the city.
Kind of sighs a little bit. And you had nothing to do with the disease that is overcome Mirathrason?
We didn't even know Mirathrason was a place.
Indeed, then what are you doing down here? What is your purpose?
We're looking for we're looking for artifacts to help us on our mission.
Artifacts?
And we heard that there was a
like magical staves, perhaps?
Magical things of some sort dealing with water.
Water? Why water?
We're on a water mission.
A water mission?
Yeah, we're looking underneath the sea.
You're a very long way away from the sea, my friend.
Yeah, well, my familiar's there.
Long, just go up the road here.
My familiar's a little bit bigger than yours, though.
For a cousin of mine, I wouldn't have expected a size joke. He looks over at you and chuckles a bit. Which of you will vouch? He points at Arion, has Fey blood. Which one of you's in charge?
I am.
Right now, Brixton has been.
Oh, good. Then you're the leader and I'll give you credit for putting on the ring, then. He says, will you vouch then for your other human friend here? The rest of you have Fey blood or deep blood. One of the two, so I can trust you. Him, he's a different story. Which one of you? Well, he's pointing at Einar.
Yeah, I trust him with my life.
Same here.
And will you accept responsibility for his actions while he remains among us?
As in actions he's done or actions he's going to do?
Actions he's about to commit. Why? Do you suspect that he's going to do something unusual?
No, I'm just curious if you know something I don't.
Nobody can predict what somebody else is going to do.
He looks
But
at
yes,
you.
I take responsibility for him.
Exactly, which is why I'm asking if you'll accept responsibility for what he chooses to do.
Yeah.
You may take the ring off.
Can I keep it?
No, I need it, he says. You never know when your friends might be coming looking for you.
And I take the ring off. And can I like go to hand it to him and then like fake hand it to him and still keep it?
You could
But,
try.
like, not like steal it, but I just like a gag.
Okay, give me a percentage die roll.
51.
Okay. You go ahead and you do that. Yeah, it feels pretty good. He looks over at Arion. He says, looks over at you, Arion. He says, my friend, he says, I ask a boon of you.
Yes. What is it?
A trade, if I could.
Possibly.
My ring
Ask
back
no.
for his crossbow. And he pulls out Brixton's hand crossbow and looks
What's
over at
that?
you and smiles.
Repeat that again. What?
He says, my ring for your friend's crossbow. And he pulls out his Brixton's hand crossbow and spins it around a couple times. Turns it around and hands it back to you.
I chuckle and look and just grin at Brixton.
I like this guy.
Here you go.
I grab it.
My ring?
Give him the ring.
Takes it back. Sonny looks at you. She goes, do you know what you just did to the captain? You just stole from the great Brixton Beholder's Bane.
Oh, God.
Beholder's Bane, Is that your name?
It's one of them.
Oh.
It's the one that I go by.
Oh, so
But,
you're not really of the Beholder's Bane clan, are you? You know there is a Beholder's Bane clan.
I did not know.
He
No,
goes,
it just
yes.
sounds good on stage.
You'd be of a rarefied bloodline.
Oh.
It's good to
He's
know.
rare, all right.
I just have a different rare bloodline.
He looks at your group. He says, I think I can trust you at this point. He says, but I need to know what you're going to do. He says, I'll give your friend back to you. He goes, that's not a problem. I've got him down just over at my sentry post right now, paralyzed until my superiors get there. The elders are coming to speak to him. But I can let him go before then, because you've, as a gnome, you've given me your word, and you've passed the test. But you're going to have to give me the thief.
Okay.
Fair
And
trade?
I have a few questions for you.
Of course.
Who are your superiors?
Oh, they're the elders. Let me explain something to you. After Mirathrason died off, it's not like the dwarves are doing anything with their city. We decided we would move in rather than have something else that was a little bit less amenable move into the area too. This is a dangerous area underneath the skin of the world, he says. Could run into anything. Could run into flares, you could run into dark elves, you could run into beholders. Of course, we wouldn't have to worry about that with your friend here, but you could run into all sorts of things. So, we decided we would move a tacit force into the area. It's a very dangerous area, though, still. There's plenty of things down there, especially in the way that you were going, over by the forge. He goes, so creatures down there that we haven't quite been able to put out of their misery yet.
Orcs?
No.
Yeah,
Worse than orcs. He goes, they're called, have you ever heard of a thing called a tentamort?
I have now.
Yes. He goes, they're fairly rare. He goes, they're pink-skinned. They walk on very long, spindly legs around a central brain. He goes, they're known for being able to meld their bodies into stone. At least these ones can. Pretty dangerous, he says. But nothing we can't handle what we've got over here.
Now, where are the elders from?
Oh, the elders? They came from the city. Our city. Our actual home. Kefrak.
Now, are they Snurf Nebly as well?
Of course. He goes, would you expect me to cavort with anything else?
No, but who are your associates that you were talking about?
Oh, you want my associates? Well, we have a couple friends that we've allowed into our society, much like you. Members of other races that we can trust. Elves, he looks over at you, Ariad. A couple halflings.
I have a question or two.
Of course, Arion. Speak.
I also, this is going back to, I explained that this is what this thief had told us.
Okay.
Apparently, somewhere down here, some of her ex-compatriots, some other wizards and everything, is that something that you are aware of?
It sounds to me like she told you a bunch of half-truths. She says, our elders are a cabal of wizards, it's true, and they're elementalists, and one of them is who she stole the staff from. But,
Okay.
yeah, besides that, I think that the rest of it was made up. I think she told you a bunch of half-truths in order to, that she could convince her lie a little bit more easily.
The one that I'm in particular wonderment about is, say, the elemental wizard of fire.
We no longer have an elemental wizard of fire. It's interesting you should bring him up. Why are you interested in him?
Because there's a couple different incidences where I have a beef with somebody along those lines.
What is beef?
Sort of like what you were talking about, where you're against somebody that brought
I see.
Brought a plague on a bunch of people that you care about.
Well, I understand beef very well. Then yes, we have a beef with him.
Okay, well then that relieves me a little bit more.
Einar kind of looks over at you, Brix, and just shakes his head a little. Says, yes, we have a beef with him as well. He's a renegade. He's one of the few humans that we allowed into our society. Now you understand why I have reticence of your friend. The humans have wiped out the dwarves here, for one. For two, we've had a renegade, a pyromancer. We don't really trust them very easily.
If that's the case, then we are on the same side.
Indeed. He looks over at the tenebrous hand. Looks over and kind of just nods at her. She nods back.
What's the staff do? What's the staff do?
Oh, I have no idea. She just stole it. That's above my pay grade, my friend.
And talking about our prone friend here.
This friend, he pulls out his wand again and shoots a wand at her, and its green ray kind of jabs out and hits her again. That friend?
Well, what I was saying.
You can't take any chances with these kinds, you know.
Sarcasm. But I was wondering about her obsidian arm. She said that her compatriots did that to her.
Obsidian arm, my foot. He walks over. He kind of taps the obsidian arm. He scratches it. It's paint.
Okay.
He looks at her. He goes, she's an assassin. It's what she does. She disguises herself.
Okay.
Now, is that wand familiar to me?
The wand? Kind of. Well, the spell is definitely familiar to you. The
Is
spell is paralyzation.
Yeah, is that Merrick's wand?
No, it is not Merrick's wand.
Okay.
It is not. It's different. This one looks like it's actually made out of a length of stone.
Got it. Okay.
Like an obsidian kind, or not obsidian, amethyst kind of like stacked on one another.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
The other question I have for him is I asked, since we're as far as a group that you found here, us as a group, we're trying to find some relics and magic items like Brixton has said about using water-based magic. Do you know of anything like that in your city area? And do
Well,
you
you were in
have
the
any?
right place. What you're looking for, I believe, is the flood, aren't you?
I have no idea really what we're looking for.
I believe that is what we are looking for.
He nods. He kind of
Okay.
reaches into his holster and he hands you back, Brixton, the his amethyst wand. He says, "Well, you look with your." He goes. You can look with your eyes. You can feel with your hands.
So I look at it.
Yeah, take it. He says, "You were staring it down. I know you wanted to see what it did."
Well, I just was wondering if it was the same as. I was wondering if you stole it from my friend.
I'm no thief, he says, kind of derisively. He says, but he says we did disarm your friend. His goods are still over at the sentry post. They're under guard by a few of my compatriots.
Now, your compatriots aren't orcs, are they?
Kind of turns his head and spits on the ground. Of course not. Why would why would we possibly gain from dealing with the enemy in such a way?
Do you
Because
know-
I died from some orcs just recently.
He looks over at you. He goes, "Well, that won't happen again, my friend. Not while you're with us." Why? Did you see some orcs recently?
Yeah, witch doctor, and
What? How soon? How long ago?
yesterday.
Here?
Here.
Not far
Where?
On the
from.
other end of that glass covered passageway down on that end.
Oh no. Oh, that's not very good at all. Did you kill them?
Most of them.
Most of them, but not all of them?
Well, no.
You let them escape?
Well, they
I
let
was
us.
Well, what kind of gnome
Oh,
are you?
Well, I'm alive now.
Huh. You should have died rather than let them escape. And you're an elf. He points at you, Arion.
I did die
You did die.
almost.
Oh, almost doesn't count. I've almost died several times. He looks over at you. Looks back at Brixton. I can't believe you let them go. You know when there's one orc, there's 50 of them.
Oh, I'm well aware of orcs and tunnels.
This is bad. This is very, very bad. If they find the flood, if they find those items, this is very bad.
Now,
We need to talk to the elders right away.
can we meet your elders?
Of course you can. That's what I'm saying. Come with me. But somebody carry her.
I also need to get back to the ocean to check on my hippocampus.
A hippo what?
It's my bigger than yours familiar.
Oh. Looks over, kind of pets the shadow cat. Can Silhouette go get your hippocampus?
Can she?
I don't know. How far can she possibly be? She's your familiar, right?
She's in the ocean.
Wait, you mean the ocean, not the
ocean.
river? What are you doing, letting your familiar get so far away from you?
Well,
You
it
fool!
happens when I can't live underwater, and it does.
Oh, then you should find a way to live underwater. Find a way for it to live above water. Do something. You can't just let your familiar wander around willy-nilly.
That's why we're looking for the flood.
Oh, you need this flood very, very badly. You're in big trouble.
What is the flood?
It's the name we call the bottom of Mirathason. Mirathason's forge. It was active. It was a very, very hot forge. And they were using it to forge all sorts of very, very powerful weapons. But when they knew that the city was going to die, they were afraid it was going to fall in the wrong hands. So they flooded it. They flooded the forge. They tried to make sure that it killed all the fires, it warped all the metals. In that way, they hoped that they could keep anything out. That's what we call the flood.
Now, has anybody been down there?
We've tried several times, he says, but we've been rebuffed every time.
From what?
They've got guardians down there.
Like what?
He looks over at you. He says, they're strange creatures. He goes, have you ever seen a Harbidixus?
A what?
A Harbidixus. You know.
What's
But
He goes, they
Does it
cling
sound
to the ceiling, and they act as if they're part of the ceiling. And then when you least suspect it, you walk into a room and the Harbidiscus falls down on you. And it envelops you and wraps you up and you suffocate. Have you ever
Do I
seen
know
one?
do I know what a trapper is?
No, but you know what a lurker above is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what you guys call them in non-Sverfneblin.
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes, it looks like they look like Harbidiscus, but they've got long tails with spines on them. Because they cast all manner of horrible spells. We think that one of them might even be some manner of undead.
Huh. Is there a waterway that leads from the ocean to the flood?
Well, there has to be in order for them to have flooded it. But none of us have been able to find how that might be. You get inside of there, you try and get underneath. We've got a device to go underneath there, but every time we go in there, it goes. It's some of our best warriors have never made it out. The elders have told us to seal the room and to just make sure that we guard it for the time being. That's why I'm so worried about these orcs. If these orcs find it and they break the seal and they get in there, perhaps they get in league with the Harbidixi.
And what about your water wizard? Can he not do anything?
He kind of rolls his eyes. When you meet the water wizard, you'll understand.
I guess let's go get Merrick.
Looks over at you.
So
Which one of you is carrying
so-
her? I'm not carrying her, but I will carry this. He pulls the staff out of her hand.
I'll
So
take
what
the
you're
staff.
saying is your water wizard sort of wishy-washy?
So to speak. He looks over at you. He says, and no, you will not carry the staff. He goes, and by the way, give me my wand back. You're done looking at it.
Oh yeah, I forgot I had it.
Yes, I'm sure you did. Takes it and puts it back.
I would suggest maybe Einar could drag our little
With
friend along.
pleasure, Einar says, and puts her over the shoulder.
Oh, do you want a rope? We can.
Oh no, I
you
want to
wanna
see
see-
what these ones will do to her once we give her over to their custody.
In case she wakes up, I would say maybe frisk her first. Get a hold of
She won't wake
any
up.
little.
She's
Okay.
I'll make sure I keep zapping her periodically. He looks over at the both of you. Says, you've done me actually a pretty good service here, finding her and bringing her back to me. I'll put in a good word with the elders for you both.
And the orcs.
No, I won't put in a good word for you because you let them go.
We took out more than you did.
How do you know that?
Because you didn't even know there
You've
was
been
orcs.
knowing about orcs.
Perhaps that I just wasn't informed about them. Perhaps the elders
You
know
are
about them.
Not informed.
He looks at you, kind of slits his eyes a little bit. Says, I'm sorry I let you look at my wand. He turns around and walks away. Sunny looks over at you. She says, he's not like any gnome I've ever met before.
He's the captain.
I see that, but he's like, I don't know, he acts sort of like a Grias. As soon as she says that, the woman that's with you, the elf, looks down at her. Looks up at you. Looks back down at her.
Do you have something to say?
No, I just wondered when we would go to see your friend.
Ah.
When will our business be concluded here?
Unsure.
She
Unsure,
sighs a bit.
but I have some ideas.
So do
if
I,
you-
she says.
you
It's
need to
important that
see
I
a
see him
Grias.
soon.
Yeah. Okay.
He may be going someplace that he shouldn't.
That sounds like me. That sounds like me.
Oh, it sounds very much like you from what I've seen so far. She looks over at Arion and she says, your hunter over there. He's very perceptive.
That's perceptive of you, yes.
She chuckles a bit. You don't know what I mean, she says. He worships the huntress, doesn't he? Elenestra.
Yeah.
He nods. She nods a bit. I'll need to speak to him.
He's right there.
Yes, but you're the commander. Do I have leave to speak to him?
Well, I don't know. Are you a thief that's trying to be an assassin?
She sighs
Here
a
to
bit.
kill it?
She says, let me tell
Yes,
you
you can.
something,
You can talk to him.
Brixton Beholder's Bane. As a commander of a legion, you're an excellent thief. She turns around, walks away from you, and goes over to Ariana. You are beginning to go down the hallway following Captain Petra.
Now, is Captain Petra's a magic user, correct?
Hard to tell what he is.
Can I talk? Can I like walk with him?
Yeah, you can walk with him. In the meantime,
Right.
though, Arion, the woman has walked back to you. The elf woman, the maiden, comes back to you.
Mm-hmm.
She says, forgive me if I ask you a question out of turn, but she points at your necklace. She says, you revere Elenestra, yes?
Oh, who? Ilona.
Kind of taps your shoulder. She says, the human blood runs hot in your veins, does it not? She says, the elvish name for Ilona is Elenestra.
All right.
She says,
I didn't know that as a player, so.
yeah. And you didn't actually as a character.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's why I was sort of baffled what she's talking about. What the heck?
She looks over at you. You worship Elenestra.
If that's what you call it, yes.
Pulls out from her robes the unicorn, a silver unicorn symbol. Nods.
I nod.
Nods back at you. She says, we have much to discuss. She says,
So,
I notice that it's been a long time since you were formally trained, wasn't it?
it's been a while.
We should change that.
Sounds fine with me.
Nods. Brixton, meanwhile, you're at the front with Captain Petra. Yes?
Can I see your crossbow?
Pulls out his hand crossbow, hands it to you.
Is it nice?
It seems pretty nice. He's left-handed, and it's gripped for a lefty.
I give it back.
He hands it back.
I
What?
got
No
mine
comments? Nothing
Pardon?
unusual to say?
Oh, there's rumor that my family comes from a line of Snurf Nebly that retreated to the surface.
Well, that would make some sense if your surname is Beholder's Bane.
Well, it's Kizbala.
Yes, of course it is. Which is the Deep Novish word for Beholder's Bane.
Oh,
Have you never heard that?
no.
Oh, Kizbala, of course.
Okay. All right.
He says, the Beholder's Bane family, he goes, were a very renowned group of illusionist thieves. He says they were well known for using the dark elves' hand crossbows and picking out the eyes of a beholder from a distance. That way, their fighter illusionists could run to the front and could combat them properly. Yes, they were a very brave clan before they were wiped out.
Is he lying?
He's not wearing the ring.
Wow. The more you know. Are you an illusionist?
Am I an illusionist?
Yeah.
He goes, why would you ask me that?
To chat?
Oh, you just want to talk shop.
Yeah.
Of course I am. He goes, you didn't recognize what I did there?
Oh.
Yeah. He nods.
Oh.
He smiles a bit. He says, you're catching on now. He goes, I know you're out of your element. It's difficult when you're an illusionist. He goes, your perceptions, they frame your reality. And so it's hard to, sometimes it's hard to balance that. Because I understand. He goes, one time I saw the outside world for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I went back in, and I don't know how I would have coped.
That's understandable.
Mhm.
Now, so Spectra isn't real.
Of course not. Oh, you mean Silhouette?
That's what I meant. Yeah, Silhouette.
Oh, no, Silhouette's quite real. She's a shadow cat.
Oh,
I was given her by one of the elders. He smiles.
I really like her name.
Oh, thank you very much. She's very loyal. She's very good familiar because she can scout ahead without really drawing too much attention. He goes, I don't know if your too big familiar would be able to do that. Your ocean familiar. He goes, I have to imagine that would be very difficult to hide in places, but you know.
Uh, you know,
He goes,
I miss my familiar.
oh, I can only imagine. You must feel like half a person without your familiar.
Yeah,
But you have an apprentice there.
I do.
So clearly you must have some mastery of illusion
Well, to
that
some
you could be
people's
teaching.
eye. To
No?
some people's eye.
How would I see it?
I'm just helping her way as an adventurer.
The blind leading the blind, I see. He
Yeah.
nods.
I'm looking for some instruction myself.
You are, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Is that your coy way of asking if I'll teach you something?
Yeah,
Of course I will.
great.
He looks over at you. But
Uh-oh.
you have to make me a promise in return.
Don't let the orcs go next time?
No. You have to make me a
What?
promise. I will be able to ask a boon of you at any time in the future, and you will grant it no matter what it is. In return, I will train you. And I will teach you everything that you need to know to be able to educate her properly. Unless, of course, the great Brixton Beholder's Bane is good for my training. In which case, perhaps I'll put a good word in for you with one of the elders. You know, and as a matter of fact, Cylindra might be able to teach you even better than I could. She's got a soft spot in her heart for young gnomes, but she I don't know. You're a surfacer, so she might not feel the same way.
Well, I guess we'll find out when we meet the elders.
I suppose. Well, we're here. He just stops in the middle of the hallway. There's nothing anywhere. You see him turn abruptly to the left and walk right through the wall.
Ooh.
Well, are you coming? You hear this disembodied voice from inside the wall.
I want to push somebody into the wall. Has
Sonny's the
everybody
only
seen-
one that's close.
I'm just gonna toss her.
Okay, you kind of you hear her say, and she disappears in through the wall.
All right, then I walk in.
Einar looks over at you, Ariad, and just shakes his head.
We had a comedy routine up here.
Tell me about this pyromancer.
Oh, is she talking, asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know much, but we're in Caverick's Cove, and I was asked to help guard a little lady, a blind lady, one of the founding families, whatever, of Caverick's Cove,
Elderly.
along with Einar's sister. And somebody along the pyromancer line basically torched her house right out on top of her and ruined it, and has, almost took us two out,
I
but
see.
that person disappeared. And then she also had some thralls or hirelings or mercenaries along with her. We
Did you place
basically
the hunter's mark on him?
What's that?
Did you place the hunter's mark on him?
I never saw the pyromancer. I'm assuming because it was a fireball that hit the house.
I see.
And
It could
from what
possibly
I'm
be
gathering,
any mage
that
then.
that person also walked into the house and grabbed something of the widow's
Then
while
it
it was
seems
burning.
unlikely that it would be someone that was vulnerable to fire. Yes?
Yes.
And you hunt this one.
Mainly because I don't like what she did. It was wrong.
Have you prayed to Elenestra, forgive me, Elona, about her?
Yeah.
And you've received no word.
Not right as a
Einar
if
looks
I
over
haven't
at
had
her.
recognition.
Perhaps you are the word. Perhaps
Her
your
hand
goddess
was
sent you to help him. Shrugs his
Could be.
shoulders. I suppose we'll find out. Brixton turns left.
Work in not different ways.
You guys all walk through this wall. And as you walk through the wall, the darkness, it's absolute for a moment, even kills infravision. But then as you walk through about 5 feet of it, it opens up again. And there's a large room there, about 30 by 30. In the middle of the room, there's a circular table made of stone, surrounded by 4 chairs. In it, there, right next to the chairs, there are different deep gnomes. They're all kind of in the process of standing up when you walk through. Along both walls, one of the walls has weapons and armor racks on them, and the other one of them has a desk on there and a dresser full of books. Captain Petra is already standing in there. For the 4 deep gnomes surrounding the table, there's also 3 of them that are by the books. They were kind of talking to one another. They look very old, and the captain is walking over to them with the staff. Madam Elder. He nods and kind of gets on one knee. Takes the staff in her hand. She goes, thank you. She goes, and who are these ones? I met these ones in the hallway. I vouch for them. He looks over at you, kind of like, don't you dare do anything. He goes, I'll vouch for them. They passed the test. I see.
I don't have my hands on any of my weapons.
Okay, yeah. Everybody is in the same boat like that. Sunny, meanwhile, Brixton is just looking around herself. Can't believe what she's seeing here. The woman walks over to you. Walks over, looks like she's going to walk towards Ariad and stops for a moment and looks over at you, Brixton. Traces reaches out. She touches the side of your face. Her fingers feel like stone, like cold, smooth marble. She touches your face. Are you a Kazera?
Maybe.
You hear the captain just kind of chuckle to himself. I haven't seen. I thought you were all wiped out. Don't you come from a long way away?
We got wagons.
I forgot. You went to the surface.
We did.
Shakes her head a little bit. Well, I suppose you can't be blamed for the actions of your ancestors. But
Nope, sure can't.
you're welcome with us once more.
Thank you.
She looks over. Masked one, you're in the company of friends. You do not need to hide your face.
She's talking to you, Einar.
Uh-huh. Einar just kind of chuckles a few times. Everybody's staring at Einar. He takes the mask off, and you expect everybody to look at him and go, oh, like they usually do, but everybody's staring at Einar in the room.
Yeah.
Einar or me?
Yeah, not you at all.
Yeah,
It's a really weird feeling, Ariane, not to be the one being stared at.
What mask does he have on?
He doesn't have a mask on. He's just normal. He's a human, and
Oh.
that's why they're staring at him.
Oh,
yeah, that was a joke.
Yeah, everybody,
Oh.
it's weird. You're not used to being the one being stared at. So she is the elder.
well, when they said that, I took my mask off anyways. I thought that
Right,
they were talking to me.
right. My name is Syndra, the woman says. She says, I am one of the elders of our tribe.
Petra said you might be able to help me.
I see. How is that?
I'm looking to grow my magics.
She looks over at Petra. Well, he just said that he wanted some training, so I thought that be at peace. Be at peace. For a
But
member of the Beholder's Bane clan, since you seem to speak the tongue of the surface dwellers, I would be interested in speaking to you. In exchange for some education, perhaps you will tell me some of your clan lineage.
all
Is that a
I
fair
can
trade?
remember. Fair trade.
Very good.
But more importantly, we're looking for our dwarf.
Oh, of course.
Hates orcs, kind of burly.
She shakes her head. She says, he's over there. She looks over. Captain, bring them their dwarf. He walks over to the wall. He reaches into one of the walls and pulls out this absolutely frozen Merrick.
So, I have a quick question.
Mm-hmm.
If you're petrified, can you still see and know what's going on around
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm gonna make a bunch of funny faces at him.
Okay, you do that. He doesn't even blink. He's just
Oh.
frozen in mid-thing. It never gets old, does it, Captain? Petra shakes his head.
No.
He says, well, you should be kind to him. His forebearers. This is a graveyard to them, he says. They suffered a terrible fate here. So perhaps some kindness is in order as well. You've come to a very dangerous place, all of you. Perhaps we could... Let me tell you their tale, mistress, if I may. I'd rather hear it from their lips. Will you tell them the same story that you told the captain about what happened to you coming down there?
With the orcs and the
she looks a little bit, when you bring up the orcs, she seems a little bit worried about that. But for the most part, she takes everything else pretty much in stride. She seems very at ease. She's an wizened old deep gnome, long gray hair that she has in multiple braids down her back. Her face looks like stone. It's got so many crevices in it. The shadows seem to gather in there. She listens to your story. She nods.
I also mentioned the flood tour.
Mm-hmm. Well, if it's the flood you seek, then certainly you're going to have to, you're going to need some education for certain. She looks at you and nods. Your friends, do they need education as well? I'm always up to learn something, Einar says. He looks up, she says, great one, I don't think that any of us can teach you in your skills particularly. He nods. Ariane, she looks over at you, she says, and you, she says, I don't know about your faith. I can't teach you in that. But I can tell by your garb, by your weaponry, that you are a stalker of the night, yes?
I can be stalker of the woods, ranger.
She nods. Captain, she says, go get Granatus. Looks back over at you. I don't know where Granias is, Syndra. You know very well where Granias is. Don't fear him. Say that you come in my name. Bring him back. He'll come. Are you sure? I'm sure.
Well, he's got to listen to the captain, right?
Granias is difficult. Granias lost his family to the orcs. He stalks the night under the skin of the world, and in search of them relentlessly. But when he finds out that there's a fellow stalker here, I'm sure that he'll be more than willing to help.
And a fellow orcator, as I point to Merrick.
Oh, we can always use some of them. She kind of chuckles a bit. My friends, please sit at our table. We'll pour you some mushroom wine, and we'll discuss some of our pasts over some roasted fungi, lichen. She says, it's an acquired taste for you surface dwellers, I realize, but it's all that we have to offer.
I'm not sure I'll liken it.
She laughs. She
Smack him
says,
over the side of the head.
she laughs. It's in his blood. He can't help it. Stalker.
No.
She looks
But I
over
have
at him. She says,
Mushroom for soup.
the Khazarans were always known as being jokesters.
He just doesn't know what he's doing.
And you have traveled long with him, I see. Go get Granaris. He'll
It
come and
seems
he'll help.
longer.
So you guys surround the table. The chairs are very, very small. It's very hard to sit in them. Brixton, as she is asking you about your lives and your stories, are you or Arion going to falsify anything? Is there anything you're going to leave out? Anything you're going to add?
Nope.
No, you're
I
just
don't
going to
see
tell
a
her the
reason
truth?
to.
Um,
I don't see a reason to.
Brixton?
no, but I do add in all of my titles
Oh, okay.
that I've deemed myself.
Okay.
We're gonna be here for days.
She seems very willing to listen to every single one of them.
Somebody who appreciates me. I also let Sunny know that these are her cousins.
Sunny, for the first time in her life, looks like she's speechless. She hasn't really said a word this whole time. She just looks in wide wonder at these gnomes of a kind that she's really never even heard of before, and is just shocked at the coloration of them and their eyes and the way they speak, and it's very shocking to her.
Do they have any young Snurf Nebly there?
Oh, yes, we keep our children at the city. She says this is too dangerous of a place for them to be. But I can arrange for someone of your apprentice's age to come and visit if you'd like.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I have a niece.
Get her off my arm for a little bit.
She looks up at you. She goes, but I like being on your arm.
Oh, you're still here.
I understand. The Syndra kind of pets her head a little bit. She says, you're taken with the great Brixton Beholder's Bane because he's a great wizard, a great illusionist, and a wonderful thief. She says, and he's a wonderful gnome too. He's so kind and he's smart and he's very talented. I know, young one. She kind of pets her head.
I take a big drink of that mushroom wine at that point.
She pets her head a bit. She says,
she's seen a lot.
Indeed, I can see it in her eyes. Kind of pats her head again. You have nothing to fear while you're here. Looks over at the rest of you. For the rest of you that are used to sleeping under the skies, she looks around the room. This is the typical room that you'll be finding here. I understand it's off-putting to some of you to stay here over long because it's a confined area. For that, you have nothing. I can do nothing but offer my forgiveness. But
don't worry about it.
Very good.
I would like to venture to the ocean.
It's quite a ways from here. Unless you try to go there through the flood.
I'd like to go there. My familiar lays in the water. And it's been a few.
I see.
But we might be able to find a way.
She reaches down and she says, please continue to speak. She has a small bag at her waist. She reaches in and keeps going down with her arm all the way to the shoulder in this tiny bag.
I got one of those.
Oh, you do? She goes, does it look like this one?
Does it?
Yeah, it kind of does, actually. Hers is like a grayer color, but
I hold mine up.
she kind of holds hers back up. She goes, very much like it, yes. She pulls
But,
out a rock, a spherical
Oh, great.
rock.
They're comparing their bags.
Puts it on the table. The spherical stone. It looks sort of like a geode. Please continue to speak. What's your familiar's name?
Aurora.
Indeed, Aurora.
There was I almost fell and
She's
I felt something
rubbing her
different.
fingers across the stone, and the stone is beginning to turn kind of a bluish color. Continue to tell me about her. What's she like?
She's playful.
What do you
She's
feel
a-
when she's near?
Um,
You look, all of a sudden, the whole globe is exactly like water. And you see kind of these silver bubbles like you're slowly descending through water.
she's I feel alive. I feel together.
Yes. Yes. I'm almost there. Keep talking.
She takes care of me and
There.
hates to see it.
As soon as you say that, you see her mane going through the water. She's swimming. Because it's deep underwater. It's very difficult to say what direction she's going. But you see what looks like a school of fish ahead that she seems to be following.
All right.
This is her. She kind of takes the stone and holds it up in her hands a little bit. It kind of is hovering over the table. And as she lifts it up, he kind of pulls the scene back slightly. And it truly is Aurora going through the ocean. She looks like she's looking for something.
Yeah, I told her look for shiny things.
I see.
Anything that
She kind of laughs and she looks at you. As you see what she's doing, she's going to this cove that's kind of underneath the the shoreline. It's made of a cave underneath there, and there's this stack of shiny objects that are piled up there.
I'm gonna be rich.
She looks over at you. She says, "I suppose either that or it's worthless junk. But in any rate, she at least listens."
Yeah, I was wondering if anything from the flood would have made its way out.
It's possible.
So, but that being said, she might be able to get us in.
Do you think so?
She likes the water.
That's fascinating. I've never considered going in through the waterway. Captain Petra, what do you think of the possibility? Well, it seems like it could work. I don't. It's got to be connected in some way to the flood. I mean, the ocean has to. I mean, there's no way otherwise that a body of water that large. Well, what if it's something like a decanter of endless water? Well, I suppose they could have used a magical way, yes, or a portal, perhaps. You see, there's many ways that it could have flooded. It's not necessarily connected to the ocean. In all probability, it is, but not necessarily.
It might be worth investigating.
Perhaps. But first, there's the matter of your education.
Heebie-jeebies that you keep running into.
Yes, indeed.
Something just occurred to me. I want to interject to the elders here. About that passageway that we came down, or the underneath the river.
Right?
Do they know about the possible weakening of the ceiling?
She looks at you and she says, there were once 15 such waterways that led to the to Mirathason's foundry and their forge. Unfortunately, most of them have since been destroyed. It doesn't surprise me at all that that one's weakening. I'd thought that it might be a good thing in one way because it would make it even more difficult to reach, but If the place is infested by orcs right now, then we have a problem. They've found another way in.
Well, the reason I was saying that because if that ceiling comes down, you could have water coming this way
Hmm.
because it is underneath the river. The river runs into the sea.
He
You're
speaks
gonna
truly,
have
Sindra. He's right. The water would definitely come this way. Hmm. I suppose we'd block it off with a wall of some kind, but... Do you have any suggestions, Arion?
I don't. I just brought it up because I didn't know if you were really aware of it or not.
Hmm. I'm aware of it now. Uh, it doesn't surprise me, but sometimes our scouts, she kind of looks over at the captain a bit, they don't give us all the information we need, just what they think we need. He looks,
Right.
his
And
his
now
stony
you're also
features
pointing
kind of
out,
gain a little bit of color when he says that, or she says that.
well, now that, now with that particular route, if there's some way you can block it off, that might also help block off, say, orc infestation from that way, unless there's some other back way that they're getting in.
I will call Baraxo. She says Baraxo is our earth mage to block it off. But if we block it off and you can't reach it from the sea, then your mission will have been in vain.
Oh, so I was thinking, excuse me, I got hiccups. Um, so the only way to get to the flood is through that passageway?
As I said, 15 of them used to be in
Oh,
existence. Now there's
okay.
only one.
I thought there was also a way through the city that we are going through now.
She shakes her head. There was at one point in time, but unfortunately, to stop water from coming, like you've said, we've had to block those off as well. But what I'm concerned about is that there are orcs in there now. It means that there's a 16th passage that we don't know about.
Okay.
We
Is
found
there a
some.
way instead of taking the passageway off to somehow strengthen that roof? That way you can keep it open, but
That
you would be
is not only possible, that is my particular expertise.
all right.
She says that I
And
will inspect it
I would,
with you tomorrow morning, all of you. For
all
now,
right.
you've come a long way and you look weary, all of you. I would suspect that you need to rest. We'll organize your training, and then we'll inspect the area ourselves. In the meantime, Captain, come with me. I'm going to cast a spell to temporarily block the area. He nods.
Do you guys need anybody to go with you?
Only if you'd like to come.
All right, Sonny, get out of here.
So what? But wait, am I going with him or am I staying with you?
I'm gonna go with them. You can come.
Okay.
And can we get Merrick awakened?
You see that the other gnomes are over there and they're rubbing salve like at his eyes and stuff. He's been out for a little while. One of them looks over at him. When they do that, you dry out. You know, your eyes have been open for so long. We're making sure that when he comes back to, he's not in too much discomfort. It's going to take him a little while.
All right.
Einar says, you want me to stay here?
Um,
Why don't you do that? The captain says.
I was gonna. Okay.
Well, you're in charge of your company.
No, I think Einar should come with us to prove his trust to you guys.
Very well. Then come.
I will stay here so he has somebody that he recognizes when he comes to. Otherwise, he may get a little bit irate.
Indeed.
Not that he won't anyway, but still.
I'll stay here as well, the elf says. And stays by Ariad. We have, as I said, we have much to discuss about matters of faith. So, Brixton, you're heading back down the hallway. I'll begin with you. You walk all the way back down the hallway with Sindra. You don't see anything the entire way. End up going through the swirler room into that hallway. I need you to make me a percentage die roll.
76.
Somebody's been here since you have. You see you notice the footprints. They don't notice them because they haven't been here. But you notice the disturbances very easily. There's been several people that have been here. Human
Several
sized.
people have been here.
Huh? Yeah, it looks like maybe 10, 15 people. Human sized footprints.
I say there's been a bunch of people here since we were last here.
The captain kneels down at the ground. He's kind of looking at the tracks.
I'm more than meets the eye.
He looks over at you, kind of frowns a bit. He's trying to be helpful. Shh. Yeah, he's right though. He goes, I don't need to be Gervais to tell you that there's been a lot of things here. Probably orcs. Probably a lot of them. They're scouting. She looks over at the glass. She says, I can repair this, but I'm wondering if I should now. She looks over at you, Brixton. She says, I'm glad that the leader of your group is here. I need you to make a decision.
Uh-oh.
You have one of three choices.
Einar, yes, so glad you could come.
Einar, don't look at me. Says, you have one of three choices. You can go through here, and I will block the area off behind you. I'll first repair the glass so that it won't be destroyed, so you don't need to be worried about drowning, and then I'll seal off the area. You'll be on your own, but you'll be in there with the flood. That's one choice. The other choice is you can try your luck with the ocean and hope that it connects to the flood somehow. It's anything but a sure thing, though. Finally, she says, the last of your choices is to find the 16th passage from which the orcs came. If I had a guess, I would suspect that it comes from the surface. However, it's just as likely that it comes from underground as well. If it comes from underground, I don't know how you'll find your way to the flood. You see, each one of them is laden with fraught with peril.
Now, do I have to make this decision right now?
She looks at the ceiling, looks at the footprints. I think it would be a good idea. Cutting back to Arion. Arion, you're over at the room, and one of the other gnomes kind of sidles up to the table with you and the elf sitting there. Says, hey, I don't want to scare you or anything, but you should know that Greyhawk is a kind of a. I think he's crazy.
Who?
The guy the stalker that she asked you to get. I think he's crazy.
Oh,
So
you haven't seen the people I'm with.
well, I've seen some of them, but you two seem like you're reasonable. So I just wanted to tell you, he's got a bad reputation for a reason. We let him go off by himself for a reason. When he lost his family, he lost his mind too. He's good at what he does, but you should know that.
Well, you don't know me too well either, but just don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me if you got angry.
He said, he chuckles a bit. He goes, I don't know you. He goes, but the captain vouches for you. Sindra seems to vouch for you. That's good enough for me. So you can take it or leave my advice as you will, but just thought it's something you might want to know.
I'll keep that under advisement, but I'll wait to.
So you really
wage
don't
my
have
own
any dark
judgment.
elven blood, huh? He looks at you.
What's up?
He says, you really don't have any dark elven blood, huh?
Nope.
Huh. He goes, wow.
I've got high elven blood.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay. He nods. He says, wow.
Notice
He
the
goes,
red purple eyes.
he says, you look at first glance, you could swear, but you look a little harder, and it's obvious, I guess.
The dark skin comes from my father from the south part of the world.
Oh, so you're a traveler then, huh?
I am now.
Kind of leans forward in his chair. He goes, "What's it like under the sky? Is it true that like you can look up and all you see is blue forever?"
Yep. And at night you can see it's black, and then you see a whole bunch of mostly white from what you can see, but multicolored specks in the sky,
Wow.
and
The other
large.
gnomes seem interested. They're kind of leaning in and listening to this now.
I explain them like the stars, the moon, the sun, stuff like that. I tried to explain them what forests and mountains and stuff like that.
You
That I
tell
see.
them the stories, and they're enwrapped by this whole thing. But he leans forward. He goes, "So let me get this right. So you're above the ground. How can you be sure that these, what did you call them again? These trees don't throw their tentacles around and wrap you up, and that the ceiling, the blue ceiling doesn't fall down on you?"
You've seen, you've probably seen the trees, but on the underside of them roots. If you look at some, you're tunneling, you might see little snaky pieces.
Oh.
I try to explain wood to them, or I take, I don't know if they're like a spear if they've got something.
Mm-hmm.
This is what wood would be, and it's this consistency. You'll see them coming down from above, branching
He
out. Those
It
are tree
occurs to
roots.
you that his point of reference is that he thinks that he the way you're describing him, he's imagining like a forest full of ropers, and that the ceiling is covered by like, yeah, their frame of
It's
reference, this whole discussion is, it's totally different than yours, so it's hard for them to conceive of exactly what you're talking about.
uh, I asked him, "Do you have a piece of parchment and some
Oh yeah, of course, of course.
chalk
I'll go fetch some.
or something, so a writing utensil?"
Yeah, he goes, he fetches a piece of stone, and there's a piece of charcoal.
Okay. I do the best I can to try to draw, say, just a quick and dirty little landscape, and maybe put the sun or the moon and the stars and stuff like
He's
that.
looking at it. He
It's
looks
quick.
over at his friends. He goes, "Look at this." He goes, "Isn't it the most amazing thing you've ever seen?" I don't know if I could do that. That's a lot of open space. I mean, where's the roof? They're all looking at each other. And,
The roof is a long ways away. I try to give them their
right.
terms.
Meanwhile,
You
back
won't
at
be able
the
to roof it.
at the tube, Brixton, you have a decision to make.
Yeah, so if I get this right, I can go now and they close the door behind me.
Right?
And I have to find either the 16th passage or the water tunnel out either
Yep.
way.
Right?
And if we close the door now and I don't go, I'm not alone. And I
Oh,
still
yeah,
have
there.
2 out of the 3 options.
Yeah, the three options are, yeah. You have three options to get down there, basically. All three of them have mean that if you choose that option, the other two are probably going to be not options for you. It's not like going to be like you can pick one of the others afterwards. You're going to have to guess right.
Hmm,
That's the problem.
I understand. Now, there's no way to open it back up afterwards?
Not from the way I'm going to seal it.
Now, are you flooding it again?
No, not immediately.
And there's probably no way to go up to the surface and dig a new tunnel down.
There's a way, but it would take too long.
Time, yeah.
Yeah, by then the orcs could have nested in there. Ugh, gives me chills just to think of it.
Yeah, I don't like it when orcs nest. What's
No,
to say
no,
they're
it's
not already
terrible.
down there?
It's terrible.
They lay eggs and everything. It's disturbing.
Your orcs are a lot different than mine.
I thought we were talking about nesting orcs.
He shakes his head.
Let's. Unless I don't know. Do you want to go down with me?
No, I don't. What I want to do is I want to have a good night's rest, like Syndra suggested. I want to go back with you and watch you train, and
let's,
then I
let's,
want to go.
let's seal it up.
He says, "Don't be a fool." He goes,
I was just,
haven't you learned anything? When did you get in trouble last time?"
when did I get in trouble last time? I think I'm always in trouble.
No, when my sister died.
Ooh, burn.
I was coming. I don't know.
Rely
Yeah,
on your friends. We're here to help.
Let's seal it.
She nods. Very well then. Step back. She reaches her hands up and she touches the ceiling. And she traces it with her fingertips, just rubbing her finger. And as it goes back and forth, it glows like a star behind her finger. She traces the crack in it, slowly disappearing. Now, you've seen the spell before, or you've heard of it before. The spell is obviously mending, but it's different. The way that she does everything is totally different. Hand gestures, finger position, her posture is different. She's clearly an illusionist, but her illusion skills are so strong that it actually becomes reality.
Mm.
She finishes tracing it.
Oh,
Finally is done.
oh no.
She looks back at you. She says, "Be careful." She reaches out her stave, taps it on the ground. Instantly, this glistening wall, transparent wall, appears in the middle of blocks off the area. And then, behind it, this iron wall appears. And then finally, growing out, the stone seems like it encroaches all around the walls onto each other like a living thing until it seals itself.
Hardy.
And
That's
taxing.
a nasty spell.
And taxing too, she says. Yes, she learned that spell from me. Everybody turns around. One of the other elders is walking down the hall. "Ah," she says. "I should have known that you would have felt that." She goes, "Sathian." She looks over at you. She says,
You must be the rock gnome.
This is our earth mage." He nods. "So you've chosen to seal the passage. It's probably for the best."
Orcs and all.
"Yes. Supposing that none of them came through already." "Yes. I'll double the patrols. Make sure that that area is absolutely secure." "Thank you, Captain Petra." "Well, you've made your decision, Brixton. Which way do you think you'll go from here? To the ocean, or try to find the 16th passage?"
Well, I think I need some mushroom soup and some sleep.
"And a couple lessons." She taps her shoulder. "I was going to teach him something. I don't think you need to worry about that.
Was that
Besides,"
Petra?
she says, "you dropped this." Flip something over to Captain Petra. It's his hand crossbow. She kind of gives a little smirk and a wink and turns around and starts walking away. Looks over at you. Goes, "She's really, really good." Going back to Ariane. Ariane, you've got this whole room of these gnomes. Pretty much everybody has forgotten about the frozen bodies. They're all surrounding the table watching you draw. Okay? And they're sitting there asking you questions about...
I forgot about the frozen bodies, so I'm making sure that they don't come back.
They're bombarding you with questions about this. Sunny is sitting there. She has volunteered to watch over the bodies.
Okay.
Make sure nobody gets back up. All these gnomes are kind of sitting around, and they're trying to draw you pictures of the underground. They draw you pictures of cave. And Ariane, you realize that they probably don't even realize what they're doing, but in doing this, they're actually drawing you a map of where to go to find the flood.
Okay.
She goes, "Yeah, right over here, this is where those ropers were I was telling you about. And over here, this is where you can see Hathraxi." And they're drawing all these tunnels and everything like that, and you're just kind of nodding, sitting there.
Okay.
Soon enough, the wall, 3 figures come walking through, 4 figures come, 5 walk through. Brixton with Syndra, with the captain, and finally one of the other elders. The decision is made, she says, looking at. She looks over at the. Kind of pauses for a second, looks over at the table. What is that? Never mind. Never mind. I'll ask later. The decision is made. You will leave to find the ocean, entrance to the flood, or find the 16th passage. That falls to you. But in the meantime, I would bid all of you get a good night's rest. You'll need it for tomorrow because your education begins promptly. All of you, she looks at each of you, will learn some skills. I will give you some of my best men to teach you what we can. For the trials that lay ahead of you, you'll need every bit that you can get. She looks over at the captain. She says, Captain Petra, make sure you get them what we can in terms of potions and scrolls. They'll need them. Things that they can use, actually. He nods. He goes, you're being awful generous with our supplies, ma'am, if I'm not speaking out of turn. The work that they do is the work that they do for us now. If they manage to stop our orc problem, they put an end to the problem with the flood, then I don't suppose we really need to be here then, do we? We can go home. Well, I suppose that makes some sense, yes. Then you see my wisdom. She looks over at you, Brixton. As the captain of this company, I'll let you make the decision, but I bid you all follow me so I can show you to suites that all of you can use for the evening, so you can sleep. Yes?
Can
I
I
want to
hang
sleep
out?
with Brixton.
I was
Everybody
gonna hang
kind of
out.
looks at her in the room. What, is that not allowed?
I think we're in a safe place, Sonny. You can have your own room.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna hang out with Petra for a little bit.
Oh, okay. Petra just nods. It's probably better for you, small one.
And then I pull out um my fancy deck of cards that I got.
Okay.
And
And
Oh, what are these?
jealousy sits in.
What are these?
it's a game.
Oh, a game. Huh. Surface game. All the other gnomes are interested now because Ariana's been drawing for them. Oh, a surface game. Let's see what this is about. So everybody starts gathering around the table. Ariane, are you going to go to the suite that she's leading you to?
Yes.
Okay. Cinder leads you to a suite. Once again, it is through a wall in which appears to be no door. The area is probably about 15 by 15. There's a bed there. The bed, it looks like it is a sack of some kind, like silken sack that's filled with fungus of some kind. And there's a chest that's over there, a stone chest, and there's a desk in the room. She says, you're relatively large, but fortunately we have some accommodations that should be able to fit you. She says, I hope that this will be, that our beds will be sufficient for you.
Well, as long as they fit a 5 foot and a 5 or 5.5 foot tall. No,
Well,
not like you're doing a long human torso.
well, please, test it out. See if it's to your liking.
I do so.
Yeah, you do. It actually is very spongy. It's kind of like the top of a mushroom. It's actually pretty comfortable. Smells a little dank, but it's all right.
You wouldn't by chance have any extra food because this boy here is going to be probably getting hungry again.
I'll send someone to bring you some food then.
All right.
Would you like some more mushroom wine and some water, perhaps?
Just some water. About if you've got like um, sautéed or grilled mushrooms, I'll use that to eat.
Yes, yes. We know how to do that.
I sort of figured you did. Also,
Please
the
enjoy
wine was good,
yourself
but I
for
want to
the
keep
evening. I will
keep my head
send
clear.
someone to get you first thing in the morning once we have found the stalker, and
All right.
that way you can begin your education immediately.
All right. Thank you very much.
She leaves. Brixton, you gonna play cards with these guys?
Yeah,
Are
with
you
my
gonna
loaded
cheat
deck
like
for
hell?
sure.
Are you
Pardon?
gonna cheat like hell?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's a marked deck, so
even when they start putting money out?
oh, for sure.
Okay, I need you to roll me
If
a percentage dice.
if they put money out,
Oh,
I'll
they're
play that.
putting money out.
We're opening all the mushroom wine tonight.
uh,
Oh, I got a 20.
okay, Brixton, the slaughter is legendary in scope. These guys are losing their shirts, basically. You're just sitting there raking it in, but to the point where pretty soon a lot of these guys are like, you know what, I'm out. There's something going on. But you end up just tearing them up as far as the game goes. But the captain is a really competitive dude, and he hangs in there for a long time. When you're
Yeah.
finally done with it, the pot comes to 67 silver and 3 small amethysts that are probably worth, you figure, about 50 gold each.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was almost like, I can just see a double zero come out
And
here.
by the way, Brixton, when you're done, too, by halfway through the game, Merrick wakes up.
Uh-oh.
And all the guards are around him. Hey, don't worry. You're among friends. He's like reaching for his axe, sees you over there, finally calms down. You end up telling him the story.
Yeah.
Good thing Herrick wasn't here with
Yeah,
us.
it's a good thing Herrick wasn't here. Right.
Yeah. I guess I tell them tales of my circus troupe and
They're
whatever.
very interested in it, and they actually are telling you in response stories about that they know about the Beholder's Banes.
Oh,
When they
cool.
used to be when they used to live under the earth. Apparently, the Beholder's Banes, there is 2 stories about them. One is that there was a very large Sverthnebli city in which they lived, and it was under attack by a group of dark elves. The dark elves had beholders with them. One of the stories says that the Beholder's Bane stayed back and allowed the city to escape. The other story says that they actually ran, and that's why the city was overrun. Nobody knows the truth. Nobody knows if whether or not they were actually cowards and ran, or if they actually stayed back and they were heroes and rear guards.
Cool.
So
Or
that's
maybe
the
like
story.
half and half.
Yeah, it could be. The captain just says, "Listen, I wouldn't put too much stock in all that if I were you. They're just legends. They happened a long time ago and a long way from here. You know how things can get distorted, yes?
Well, I am legendary after all.
Oh, so I'm learning. And by the time the game is over, it's very late. You end up going to bed for
Yeah.
the evening. Gentlemen, I think that's where we're going to end up for the evening right now. That you guys are in the Sverfnebli sentry post. All of you have you've done a lot of good stuff today. You guys have all found a little bit of training possibilities. You've made friends with the deep gnomes. You found out
No.
really what the deal is with this city, and you made a huge decision. Well, Brixton made a huge decision about how you're going to go and try to approach it. Whether or not it turns out to be wise or not, you're going to find out soon. Arion, you learned something about your goddess that you didn't know before, and may have insight now to an entire part of the faith you didn't know about. So this is it could be a very important moment for your character.
The other thing I was wondering, that the stuff that they're drawing and everything, was that on parchment or was that stone?
Piece of stone,
pieces or what?
that slate, that long piece of slate.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um,
Gentlemen, I think that's where we're going to sign off for the evening. Stick around again as we usually do, so that we can do a little bit of wrap up. I can say goodbye. But for everybody out there in Twitch that watched us this evening and hung in with us, I really appreciate you guys doing that, man. It's really cool knowing that I've got a group out here that you guys are really enjoying what they're doing. I can see right over here from the chat. I'm going back now that we've had a record crowd tonight. Really, it looks like. One of my good buddies, Lamashtu, was out here and he was talking. I see, obviously, Gitana was here watching us for the beginning. That was awesome. He's still with us, I think. Thanks so much. You make this really a lot of fun. And by the
Yeah.
next time we go ahead and you see us, we're going to have a new innovation for the chat. I was telling the guys about it really earlier. I expect it to be really cool, something that you guys can look forward to. And I hope to see you guys again soon. 2 weeks from now, we'll have the next session, unless I have one in between them that I schedule for a makeup session for the guys, which is very possible. Till then, for David and for Matthew, I'm Carlos A.S. Lysing. This is the first Betrayal. You guys have a good evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.